Hello students, we have started talking about a response of a single degree of freedom system to harmonic excitation, and we have seen that the displacement of the mass can be said to be composed of xc, that is the complementary solution, plus xp, and xc is, we also refer to it as a transient solution, and xp that we refer to it was a steady state solution. This transient solution dies down after some time, and what we are left with is only this solution, which is a steady state solution, and we'll be not having a look at this transient solution at that time. Okay, after some good amount of time has passed. So this is the only part which remains, and this is something of importance to us, and we already have seen that xp can be written as x, which is the amplitude of it, times cosine of omega t minus phi. We have seen the expression of x, and we also have seen how exactly x varies with r, that is omega by omega n. This is the ratio of applied frequency of external excitation to the natural frequency of the system. These are obviously circular frequencies, and ratio of these two is what is r, and with changing r, how exactly x varies is something that we already have seen in terms of magnification factor variation. We have seen that, and now in this particular class we are going to have a look at this phi. We already have derived the expression of phi, which is this way: tan inverse of 2 xi r divided by 1 minus r square, where r is this ratio. Okay, and this xi is damping ratio, okay, which is c by cc. Okay, and so knowing xi and knowing r, you will be able to find out phi. Okay, so I'll first of all show you how exactly that phi variation looks like. Okay, let's say that this x-axis represents r, that is omega by omega n. Okay, so along this line, as you march towards this side, you get to see larger values of r, and along y, let me plot phi. Okay, this is obviously 0, and then there is this value pi, which is of importance to us, and there is one more value which is pi by 2. And along this r axis, let me plot one peculiar point, which is this r equal to 1. And let's first of all see that condition which we already have had a look at, that is for xi equal to 0. Okay, when xi is equal to 0, which means that the system is undamped. In that case, how exactly phi is changing? So phi starts from here at 0. Okay, and it is 0 till the time r comes out to be equal to 1, that is omega is smaller than or equal to omega n. Till that time you get to see that this is the value of phase angle, and then suddenly it jumps over here to pi. Okay, and thereafter it remains there. Okay, so it is 0 till this value of r, and thereafter it picks up a new value, which is this pi. Okay, now what is this phi which is taking these values? So we already have talked about it, that this is the phase difference between the force and the displacement. So let me say that at certain time this is a f vector. Okay, its projection on the x-axis will be f0 cosine omega t. Okay, so this angle is omega t. At certain time, this is how f is positioned. Okay, as time is going to increase, this f is going to rotate in a circle like this. Okay, and its projection on the x-axis is going to change according to this relationship. Okay, and this is what is the force. Okay, and this is the vectorial representation of that force. Okay, with this being the phase. Okay, what is the phase? Omega t is the phase. Okay, and now let's try to draw another vector, which is x vector. Okay, this is that x vector. Okay, which will be something like this. It is lagging if you compare it with f vector. How much angle it is now making with x-axis? It is making this much amount of angle. So obviously it is lagging by this much amount of angle, which is this phi, which is equal to tan inverse of 2 xi r divided by 1 minus r square. Okay. Now what is going to happen, this relationship between f and x is going to be like this only thing is that with increasing time this entire set, this f vector as well as this x vector, this entire set is going to rotate in anticlockwise sense with increasing t. Okay, the moment you fix r value, xi is already fixed, you have picked up xi value, so xi is already fixed. The moment you select r value, that is the moment you pick this omega, at that time what is going to be the relationship between f and x, that is decided. So if this is f, this is how x is going to be like. It is going to lag f by this much amount of angle, which is this phi, and that is given by this expression. And now as the time is going to increase, this entire set, that is this f as well as this x, both these vectors, those are going to perform this motion which is in the anticlockwise direction, and they are going to rotate with a constant angular velocity, and which is going to be equal to omega. Okay, the angular velocity of f vector as well as this x vector is going to be constant, same, and as well as constant, and the value of that will be equal to omega, which is the externally applied forcing. Okay, forcing frequency. So I hope you have now understood what is the relationship between f and x. And now what we are going to do is, let's try to draw other forces as well on this phase diagram. Okay, what we have just now drawn is called as a phase diagram. Okay, so let me try to draw other forces as well. Okay, so let me redraw that. This is x-axis, this is y-axis over here, and we just now have drawn f like this. Okay, then we have also drawn x, which was something like this, right, which was lagging f. Okay, and this is x. Now you know that fs, which is the spring force, is equal to minus of kx. Okay, and we are writing down equation in this form, mx double dot plus kx plus cx dot is equal to f. Okay, so let me first of all draw this kx part. Okay, this kx, if you see to it, which is minus of fs, is in direction of x, and it has got this scalar multiplier k. Depending on what is the value of k, you will be able to draw this kx. This is how kx is going to look like, right? It will be in the direction of x. This was x, so obviously it will be in the direction of x. Then it is having the scalar multiple, so k times this x is what is going to be the kx. So this is kx, which is equal to minus fs, which you have drawn over here. Okay, now let me try to draw another force, which is cx dot. Okay, so what will be, how can we draw cx dot? It will be in direction of x dot, and there will be this multiplier c to that x dot. So I obviously should be able to draw x dot first. Okay, so let me draw that x dot using a different color. Okay, so how are we going to draw the x dot? Okay, so we already know that x is having this expression. Let's say that this is what is the expression. Now x is only xp. We are not at all considering xc. We are saying that it has already died down. Okay, so that's why I'm directly writing it as x, which is xp. Ideally it is only xp part. Okay, so x is now this x cosine omega t minus phi. Okay, if you take derivative of it, what are you going to get? You are going to get this minus x times omega times sine of omega t minus phi. Okay, now sine of omega t minus phi I can write down in this fashion: cosine of omega t minus phi minus pi by 2. Okay. Further, we also have this minus sign, so I can add 1 pi in order to account for this minus sign. Okay, so let me account for this minus sign by adding pi over here, and hence I'll be left with x dot expression, which will be something like this: x times omega times cosine of, what is this? This is omega t minus phi minus pi by 2 plus pi by minus pi by 2 plus pi, which essentially is equal to plus pi by 2. Okay, so this is what is the expression of x dot, and this is what is the expression of x. Okay, so obviously there is some change in this amplitude, but if you try to see to phase, what has happened is that phase of x dot, okay, is pi by 2 times more than what is phase of x, which essentially means that velocity will lead displacement by pi by 2 amount of angle. Okay, so let me draw that angle over here in this fashion. Okay, so if this is, or maybe ideally it will be over here, so this is how x dot will look like. Okay, and what is the force that we are referring now? We are referring to this one, which is c x dot. So it will be in the direction of x dot, it will be in this direction, and how much will be magnitude will be c times x dot. Okay, I'll be plotting that force over here in the direction of x dot, and magnitude will be c x dot. Okay, now we have plotted this cx dot, which is minus of fd. We have already plotted fs, minus of fs we already have, and we have also plotted this minus of fd, which is damping force. Okay, minus of damping force. And now the last force that we are left with, which is mx double dot, is something that we'll be plotting. Okay, let me try to plot it with a different color. Okay, now our job is to get the expression of x double dot, and we'll try to see to it where we are able to plot x double dot, and hence how can we plot mx double dot. Okay, so we know that x double dot is now one more derivative of x dot, right? So I just now have said that by differentiating x with respect to time, what we have done is we have rotated this vector by pi by 2 in the anticlockwise direction. So in the same fashion, if we differentiate it once again, what we are going to do is we are going to rotate it even further by pi by 2 angle, and this is the new vector which we will be landing up with, and that will be x double dot vector. Okay, which is in line with x but in the opposite direction, right? So phase difference between x and x double dot is pi. Okay, so either you can say that x double dot is leading x by pi, or you can say that it is lagging. Ideally we say that it is leading x by pi. Okay, because it is going in this fashion. Okay, it was leading initially by pi by 2, and then it was leading again by pi by 2. So in all it is leading by pi angle. Okay, so how are we going to plot mx double dot in that case? It will be in the direction of x dot, and magnitude will be m times x double dot. So we'll be plotting it in this way. Okay, and this is how we are going to complete the polygon, force polygon. Okay, mx double dot is this force which is minus of inertial force. Okay, so we have plotted this force, we have plotted this force, we have plotted this force. This was already there. Okay, so this is that f force, which is this one. Okay, and since we are drawing it in this fashion, we are drawing these forces mx double dot, kx and cx dot. So we should ideally, in order to close the polygon, we should draw minus f, which will be in this direction, right? And the polygon will be closed, and hence this equation is satisfied. Okay, so this writing down this equation is equivalent to draw this figure. Okay, and this is called as phase representation, or it's a phase portrait of these forces. Okay, and now I want you to kind of appreciate few more things. Okay, which I'll be showing you just now. Okay, so let's try to draw that face portrait once again over here. Okay, so this was f. Okay, we said that x is lagging by an angle equal to phi, and hence this was kx. Then we said that this much was cx dot, and this is how mx dot was, mx double dot. Okay, So this is mx double dot, this is cx dot, and this is kx, and this is what is f. Okay, now imagine that this c is very small. Okay, so as c will be very small, so will be height of this. Okay, depending on what is the value of c, height of this will be determined. Okay, and when there will be a very small height of this, then obviously you will be able to appreciate that this x will be in line with f. Okay, as the c goes on reducing, x approaches f. Okay, so in the limiting case, when the c is 0, then how are we going to draw in that case? This is how f will look like. Okay, then x will be in the direction of f itself, then kx will be like this, cx will be 0, and mx double dot will be like this. Okay, everything is in the same line because c is 0. Okay, if you increase c slightly, then kx is going to take this kind of position. Okay, and this is what will be cx dot. Okay, so which essentially means that how much is the c is the determining factor between what is the angle between these two, f and x. Okay, so larger the c, larger will be this angle. Okay, which you already have seen in the figure that we just now have drawn. Okay, so let me try to see the figure. Okay, so this is the figure. Yeah, we are yet to draw that. Okay, fine. So I'll be drawing that figure for you once again over here. Okay, so let me draw that figure over here. We have drawn only that case which was for undamped case, and now for damped case, let me draw that as well. Okay, so damped case will look like this. So initially 0 damping is this. If you go on increasing the damping, you will get to see that graph goes like this. Okay, approaches to pi in the limiting condition. Increase the damping further, this is how the graph will be. Even if you increase it further, this is how the graph will be. Okay, so for smaller value of this is the direction in which xi is reducing. Okay, so for smaller value of xi, you get to see that the phase difference between f and x is negligible almost. Okay, for most of the time. So you will be able to see that it is 0 for this entire region. Okay, till the time omega by omega n is equal to 1, till that entire time you will be able to see that phase difference is 0. Okay, if you increase the xi from 0 to certain non-zero value, then you will be able to see that it will still remain 0 for most of the time, and then it will go on building up. Okay, and then it will build up, will cross over here at 1, and then it will go over here. Okay, and always the crossing will be at this 1. Okay, this is pi by 2, this is pi. Okay, so when you are going to see omega by omega n value approaching to 1, you are going to see that the phase equal to pi by 2. Okay, we'll be talking about it. Okay, so what I just now told you is that for smaller value of c, you get to see a very small phase difference between force and x. Okay, that is, the displacement is not lagging behind the force, but it is in the direction of force itself. Okay, and let's try to consider the other extremity, how it is going to look like. Okay, so before we go to that, I want you to appreciate one thing over here. Okay, so let's consider that case when there was no c. Okay, when it was not there. Okay, and we considered this f let me draw it over here once again. This is f, then this was kx, right? And this is how mx double dot looked like, right? Mx double dot is this. Kx starts from here and ends over here, and f starts from here and ends here. Okay, so you will be able to say that magnitude of kx is equal to magnitude of f plus magnitude of mx double dot, and obviously kx is the dominating force. Okay, that is, stiffness force is the dominating force of all forces which are contributing. Okay, so in this region, when you have smaller values of phi, that is when phi is equal to 0, then you can say that this region is stiffness dominated region. Whenever you get to see smaller values of phi, then that is going to have implication in much larger value of kx as compared to all other forces. So the dominant force will be the stiffness force, and hence system's behavior will be governed entirely by the stiffness. Okay, that's why, since you know that what stiffness is doing is, stiffness is having a linear relationship between displacement and force. So displacement is in line with force. There is no any change in angle between force and a displacement. Okay, whenever you have stiffness dominance. Okay, and scaling will be, this k will be the scaling factor. Okay, and this is what is the stiffness dominant region. Now let's go to this region where we have mass dominance or inertia dominance. Okay, so that is the case. Let's try to consider the extreme case when we don't have again damping included into it, and omega by omega n is larger than 1. Okay, so in that case, how the system is going to look like? This will be f, right? Now x will be in opposite direction of f, right? So this is how x is going to look like. Okay, x will be leading f by pi. Okay, or lagging f, lagging with by pi units of angle. Okay, if this is what is f, then x, then obviously this will be kx, right? Kx will be in the direction of x, and which is in the opposite direction of f. Now if this is kx, this is x, then how mx double dot is going to look like? Mx double dot, this will be x double dot, and hence mx double dot will start from here and it will end over here. Okay, so these are the three forces. One is kx, which started from here and it ended over here. Then mx double dot, it started where kx ended, that is at this point, and it ended where f has ended up. Okay, so which is the larger one? This is mx double dot, right? This was kx. Okay, so obviously mx double dot is now the largest of all forces, and now I can write down the magnitude of mx double dot is equal to magnitude of f plus magnitude of kx, and hence I can say that this is the dominating force. If this is the dominating force, and what is going to determine the system's behavior? It is the inertia which determines what is the system's behavior, and hence we call that call this region where we get to see phase difference as pi, we call this as inertia dominated region. Okay, so this is the inertia dominated region, and now comes this region, okay, where we get to see phase difference as pi by 2. Okay, so phase difference pi by 2 represents damping dominated region. Okay, so let me draw that. This is f. Okay, and now you are anticipating that x should be having pi by 2 amount of phase difference with respect to f. So this will be f. So obviously cx dot will be like this, right? Cx dot. So, and if this is what is oh sorry, I'm so sorry. So this is the, I just now have drawn, this is the direction of x. Okay, so kx will be in this direction, and cx dot will be in this direction, which will be leading by pi by 2 angle. Okay, and it will be having a magnitude that will be equal to c times x dot. Okay, and now this will be mx double dot. Right, this will be mx double dot. This is how the force polygon is going to look like. Okay, and as time progresses, what is going to happen is that this entire figure is going to rotate in the anticlockwise direction, and in this case, when we have x lagging by pi by 2 angle, at that time what we get to see is that it is this force, damping force, which is the dominant and which is going to determine the system's behavior, and hence we'll be calling this region as the damping dominated region. Okay, this is the damping dominated region. Okay, so with this we'll conclude this session, in which we have seen how exactly phase of the displacement changes. This is steady state displacement. We haven't talked about transient part, because we are considering that transient part has died down, and we are left with only steady state part, and hence we are plotting steady state phase difference of the steady state part with as compared with the force, external forcing. With respect to that, how off the displacement is, that is the steady state displacement is, that is giving a, that is kind of this phi is something which is capturing that, and we are plotting that phi for various values of omega by omega n. Okay, and we have seen that we can categorize this system's behavior into three domains. One is stiffness dominated, one is inertia dominated, and one is damping dominated. And we have seen that when omega by omega n ratio is very small, at that time whatever that system's behavior is, that is stiffness dominated. Okay, whereas if you increase the frequency considerably, if you increase the frequency of the applied forcing considerably large in comparison with the omega n, then what you are going to see is that system's behavior will be largely, majorly dominated by the inertia. Okay, so inertia force is something which is going to be the governor of the system's behavior, whereas when you get to see omega by omega n equal to 1, whatever be the damping ratio, but when omega by omega n is equal to 1, at that time you will be able to see that system's behavior is governed by damping. Okay, so damping is the governor. Okay, when omega by omega n is equal to 1, that is at resonance. Okay, so at the resonance, damping force is the governing force. For very small value of omega by omega n, stiffness is the governor, whereas for very high value of omega by omega n, that is when frequency of applied forcing is extremely high, then inertia of the system governs the behavior of the system. Okay, so we'll stop over here for today for this particular session, and we'll open up a new topic in the next class. Thank you so much. Bye.